we've got a happy Kwaai Day. We've got a packed Kwaai Day today. It's a full agenda. And apologies from Afshin and Eunice for not being able to attend. Afshin's at a conference. Eunice is finishing off 2024 planning, and we've all got day jobs, and this is an amazing that we get together every Friday, take time away from our day jobs to volunteer and contribute to this cause that we feel passionate about. And I see Kai Phams just joined.
Hi, sorry, guys.
No problem. Happy Kwaai Day. So we're underway. We have a quorum. Today's agenda. I'll leave Matt to go through the agenda, but just to say welcome, and it's also good to see some new faces.
Sure. Just a couple updates on operationally, and then I'll hand it back over to you, Riza, for any week-over-week updates that you'd like to add. But operationally, there's some new engineering meetings on the calendar. Apologies for that Sunday calendar churn. I'm not going to be doing Sunday meetings to anybody en masse. So we are putting a new one on for Monday. Monday is going to be the Pi Pod engineering work group. That's essentially the back end system for Pi. Really the talking about the vector database, the storage models, the model training, security, etc. So if those are topics that you're interested in, please do make it a point to look at that Monday call, Monday 10 a.m. Pacific. We've also, as everybody saw, this is in addition to that Wednesday call that's been on the calendar now for a couple weeks. The Wednesday call is looking like it's kind of the Pi engineering super call. This is really where Cyan from Arcus Nexus will be updating us today on just a week-over-week update on some of the progress and where we're at. But this is really where we'll try to coordinate a lot of these working groups as we then go week over week and try to splinter off and work on different components of the Pi architecture. And then we have also scheduled after the Friday calls a hackathon session. So this is for any developers that just want to get involved. If you don't have time to kind of commit to a work group, this is a good opportunity for you to just follow along with the development. What we hope is that out of these hackathon sessions, as these continue to grow and as we continue to get our issue trackers set up, as we continue to get our knowledge bases set up, that this will be something that you can come to if you're just looking to knock out some issues and do some coding. So this is a good opportunity. This first one will really be focused on continuing some of our efforts around the storage discussion that were started. The storage and backend discussion started on Wednesday. That will then continue further on Monday. Once Mike Rubin is also back from traveling, he also sends his regrets that he couldn't be here today. But lots now starting to kick up on the engineering side. Please do get involved when and where you would like. And if you have any questions, please find me in Slack and hit me up. I'm happy to help. Riza, any other updates that you want to offer up here?
No, it was a productive Wednesday call, and thanks for the contribution and the donation of resources from Arcus Nexus. It's really elevating our sort of enthusiasm and harnessing our enthusiasm with some orthodox product management. And thanks, Cyan, for leading that. So that Wednesday was good, and and it's good to see the explosion of other meetings that are going on. That I'm not going to be involved in all of them, and in fact, as chair, I don't want to be micromanaging what goes on in the organization. This is not like my day job where I'm CTO and I am overseeing it. No, I'm a facilitator, and I set sort of broad brush vision guidelines, and it's wonderful to see a self-motivated organization take that and run with it and make it something else and morph it from my original idea, and that's also good. And it's important for me to step back and not be dogmatic about certain things. So I've as you'll hear later on from Cyan's report, maybe you'll hear that on some issues we had disagreement, and I conceded, and I think we've moved the project along. What we end up with is a thing called the Pi Pod. Now, and there's a whole meeting about that. And this is not, for those people that are just new to this, this is not like a washing up, a clothes washing liquid, little sachet of detergent. The pod is the encapsulation of your personal AI. The notion that there exist generic large language models and other AI models. It's the tuning and refinement of those models that makes it personal, and you do that with your own personal data, and all of that data resides in what's called a pod. And so the pod is what makes it personal, and it's important for you to own your own pod. It allows you to personalize AI, and the resulting model of the cross-coupling between your personal data and a large language model, the resulting model should be yours to own and operate and maintain yourself. That is the fundamental thesis of Kwaai, and that sets it apart from the SaaS AI providers that say, "Hey, give us your data, we'll run it for you, and we'll charge you a monthly rate for doing that." Yeah, you might want to do that. You might choose to do that, and it's expedient. But for certain use cases, it's important for you to own your own data. It's important for you to own your own pod. And Darren says, is it an acronym? I don't know. Is it an acronym? I didn't come up with a name. I think it came out of Colin and Mike Rubin. It came out of their discussion. Maybe later on they can talk more about it. Personal objects data. Okay, there we go. Someone said, great. So I'm gonna we've got a new speaker today. So I'm gonna move on with the agenda back to you, Matt.
Sure. Thank you for those thoughts, Riza. And there'll be some good opportunity after Science Update too. If anyone has thoughts, there's some time today just for folks to weigh in. Thoughts, ideas, questions around some of the Pi architecture topics, since a lot of that's kicking off. What we'll move to now, we've got some special guests today, Marcus Hallside and Jan. I'm sorry, Jan, I don't have your name in front of me. And Jan are going to be sharing with us a bit about planetary dialogue on AI, an expansive topic, admittedly. So I'm going to pass this over to Marcus. Marcus, you should be able to grab the share here. I'm going to go and stop.
How do I do that? I have no idea how to.
Next to that smiley reaction is the square with the up arrow.
Down the bottom.
Yeah.
There's a square with an up arrow right in the middle of the icons.
Okay. No, I did that wrong.
That's it. You did it. You're presenting a blank screen at the moment, Marcus. Please correct me.
I think he's got a bandwidth problem or something.
Okay, yeah. His video's gone as well.
Dan Hurwitz, I see you here as well. I've just made you a co-host. I don't know if you're also presenting on this with the document here, just in case.
No, I'm not, but if you could help me.
There we go. Okay, he's up.
My video won't turn on.
Great.
We've got you now. Looks good.
Marcus exited, and Marcus, you need to rejoin. We can't hear you.
Or just unmute there.
Yeah, but I think he actually exited. Did he? No, he couldn't have.
Marcus, I think you're, yeah, there you go.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, now you see the screen and you can hear me?
Yeah, and you're going to go into. There we go.
Good.
Okay.
Okay,
Good job.
great. Okay, as I was saying, because Jan and Kai have been involved in this process, if I don't explain anything well or sufficiently, please jump in. Okay, what I'd like to talk about is what we've been doing with a group of experts, academics, and users of AI, which is a planetary dialogue on AI. We have about 18 people participating, and we're using a process called structured democratic dialogue. And what I'm just going to give you is a taster of what it is and what we're doing. Structured democratic dialogue is basically a methodology which is scientifically proven to bring into the room a group of people with conflicting and divergent ideas and reach consensus. And reach consensus by a process of better understanding the concerns of the other people in the room. This is really a process of dialogue, and hopefully it ends up with us achieving relationships of trust with the other people in the room. Now, this whole process started in the Club of Rome in 1970s. And the first document produced by the Club of Rome, the Predicament of Mankind, produced the philosophical foundation of addressing complex socio-technical challenges by harnessing the collective intelligence and wisdom of all stakeholders. So basically, the idea is that it's not right to expect people to understand or make decisions about how their futures will play out without being involved in that process. What SDD enables us to do is using a mathematical algorithm to identify actions or ideas that the people in the room have provided, which they do not come into the room and say, my idea is better than your idea, or I want to talk about my idea for half an hour and you can talk about your idea for 5 minutes. Everybody has the same amount of time. Nobody can criticize anybody else's idea. All they can do is ask for more explanation. They can ask questions. They can ask for additional clarification of the idea. And basically, we started this process for the planetary dialogue with 64 ideas, I think. And what the process we go through is one whereby we don't try and solve the problem completely by looking at the whole picture. We take each idea and we compare it in a stepwise manner with other ideas. And we ask the question, if we were to take action A, would that better enable us to achieve action or idea B? And that basically is the underlying concept of what we're trying to do. And what it does is it enables the participants in the room to start to see that there may be other ways of looking at their or other people's ideas and achieve consensus. Now, I just want to quickly go on and tell you what the STD process is, and then I'll explain how we did it for the planetary dialogue. The first element in this process is to, just a second, I'm trying to time myself so I don't go over your limit. We have a triggering question to focus the dialogue. We want to go into dialogue about AI, but we don't want to give the possibility of any kind of solution to AI. We want to say whether we're talking about regulations, we're talking about morality, we're talking about other ways of controlling or enabling us to make a more humanistic and more human-centered AI. So the first thing is we define a triggering question. We then identify the people in the room when we do this, and we're talking about a face-to-face or not face-to-face, but online set of a number of meetings. It's three or four meetings of 1 to 2 hours each. We then ask people to give us their ideas or their actions that they believe can address the triggering questions. And we get typically 60 to 80 statements. We then group the ideas, because some ideas may be very similar, and the owners of the ideas may be prepared to combine them with other ideas that have already been presented. And then we ask all of the participants to vote, to take the ideas, the 60 ideas, and tell us what the top 5, the 5 they think are most important. And this is an important process because basically we find when we go through this process we call structuring and road mapping, the ideas which appear to be the most significant or the most important or receive the most votes are no longer the ideas that come out at the top or the bottom of our tree. And what we use is something called interpretive structural modeling. It's used to identify the ideas and provide the maximum leverage for this intervention. And as I said, suppose we make progress in addressing or resolving factor X, will that help significantly in addressing or resolving factor Y in the context of the triggering question? And at the end of this process, we end up with a map, a road map, or basically a map of the ideas, with the idea at the bottom of our map, or the top, depending which way you want to look at it, as being the one that's most significant. And if we achieve that, it will help us to achieve the other ideas or actions which are also in the process. Now let me look at what we've done on the AI one. We defined a triggering question, and the triggering question for a dialogue was, what actions, options, initiatives, policies, regulations, collaborative efforts can humanity undertake to protect itself from the potential negative repercussions of AI development and deployment? And this was the triggering question which we presented to our participants. And after they had explained why they had joined the dialogue, we then asked them to give us their 5 or 6 ideas each, which we produced a book of ideas or actions, and then we moved forward in the other processes of the dialogue. We started to explore the influence relations, the structure between the ideas that received votes and the ideas which had received fewer votes. And this is the logic of the ISM algorithm. And basically the algorithm, I mean, if we really did this without using any mathematical guides, we would end up with a 60 by 60 matrix, which we would not be able to deal with. But what we've done is we've taken the ideas with the most votes and started to compare them with the ideas with less votes, and see which of these ideas enable us to achieve the ideas with the lower votes or the ideas with the higher votes. Now, when we produced our list by voting at the beginning, we discovered the following. Idea number 1 had 7 votes, and that was to have transparent AI research and development. Now, we have a complete book of all the ideas, which we'll happily share with you when it's ready, but I don't want to have to go into the individual ideas and explain them in more detail, other than if Jan and Kai thinks there's something which you should spend some more time on, then please jump in. Idea 4, which had 5 votes, was human rights as a foundation for AI alignment. Idea 12, which received 4 votes, legal, social, environmental, and governance frameworks, security, ethics requirements. These are all ideas which we could implement to help us achieve the goal of the triggering question. Idea number 33 also had 4 votes, comprehensive AI education. Idea number 61, also 4 votes, rethinking the human condition. Basically stating that we have to figure out what it is we want from our lives before we can decide to what extent we can use AI, which will not abuse or take away from these ideas. Another idea, number 23, we got 3 votes, was universal basic income. We've heard a lot recently over the idea that AI can replace all of our jobs. Not think that's going to happen. But if we do want to replace a considerable number of jobs, then we need some way for people to earn a living. Therefore, the concept of universal basic income, which is quite popular in Europe today, is something we have to consider. And another idea that received 3 votes, idea 25, decide what aspects of life decision does humanity want to transfer to apparatuses which have no life values or relationships. Idea 58 also received 3 votes, anticipatory governance. And idea 62, explore how to use AI to reduce the economic gap of underrepresented groups. This is to give you a flavor of the way in which the ideas that got the majority of votes came out in our initial activity. We then went through the process, as I explained to you, of structuring these ideas and comparing them one against the other, but not all of them, to determine which ideas help us to achieve other ideas in the map. And what we got from this was L3, which is the highest level. We found action number 61. Sorry, can I just say before, this is an unfinished map. We are going to structure more ideas in the next session we have, and there will be more ideas, and our map will be more rich. It will probably have 5 levels, and it will have it will look a little bit different from what it is at the moment. But the highest level, action 61, the rethinking the human condition. In level 2, we had action 1, which was transparent AI research and development, and action 12, legal, social, environmental, and government frameworks. No, I said I made a mistake here. Sorry. Action 4 was not legal, social, environment, and government frameworks. That's my mistake, but I don't have time to fix it just now. Action 58 was anticipatory government. Action 62, explore how to use AI to reduce the economic gap of underrepresented groups. And once we are achieving these actions, then, to make them happen, we will be able to include additional actions, which action 33 was comprehensive AI education. Action 22, decide what aspects of life's decision does humanity want to transfer to apparatuses which have no life values or relationships. And action 23, universal basic income. Now, if we go back and compare with that with what we had before, you'll see that transparent AI research and development doesn't actually appear. And rethinking the human condition received 4 votes. It's now gone up higher than transparent AI research and development. So I think this gives you a feeling of how we use this process to basically, what we're saying really is, look, we cannot look at the whole picture and come up with answers, but we can start to compare the individual elements and find out where we have to move and what direction we have to move and how we can build a map to achieve our goal, which is to satisfy the triggering question. Okay. We're not there yet, but all of our actions, will have to make them specific. They should only contain one idea. They should be actionable, assignable, and measurable. And we should answer the question who, why, when, and how. So basically, when we produce our book of joint ideas, and these ideas have been authored by all of the participants, and they will all be co-authors of the document we publish, we will have a set of actionable ideas in a roadmap saying which ones should be performed first and which ones should be done later. And what are our next steps? We want to produce this as a collective product, and every one of us may use it how they wish, but we plan to use the results in at least 3 ways. As leverage to contact important bodies, UN, EU, International Court, NATO, and serve as a consulting group, even offering them tailor-made dialogues to address specific challenges they face. Prepare a professional report with detailed information about the process, content, and recommendations to be shared widely, and draft a scientific publication co-authored by all. Okay. I think that is me finished. How do I get back to you guys? Stop presenting. There we are.
There we go. Stop presenting. Great. Well, thank you so much, Marcus. That was very illuminating. I've got lots of questions, but let's and hands up, everyone. Matt will MC this, but well done.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have time for 1 or 2 questions here. Anybody have a question on this topic? I keep hearing the thing, but not seeing the hands. Kwaai, go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted, as I mentioned, I work with the group, and I I wanted to wait until we have something consistent. So I think then it makes more sense to connect with Kwaai. I think together we can use this structured way to analyzing things, because I'm sure we will have other topics that we can think about. And then the group is more connected in Europe with all the other organizations. So I think it's a good way for us to extend. And if it's okay with you guys, I would try to Marcus, Jan, and Yanis to ask the other people, to join Kwaai and vice versa. If we, just to
absolutely. Yep.
Thank you, Kai. Ruth, go ahead.
Thank you. Marcus, thank you for that presentation. I was frantically typing an email to my colleagues. Some of you know that I was on a roundtable panel at my college yesterday. And this is exactly what we needed, because we kind of fell into, it was a student faculty-led discussion. And part 2 of it will be next week, where the students are on the panel and we're in the audience. This is just what we need to steer the discussion before we descend into chaos.
Can you describe the triggering question that you're debating?
Oh, could I describe the triggering question?
Yeah.
That's what I was talking to them about. What are you thinking, Reza?
Well, the question you were facing, the roundtable,
Yeah.
is about how AI is going to impact education.
We're focusing on the ethics of AI as it relates to education. So what we are preparing students for, and how much of that low-level thinking we're prepared to give up to AI. So on the panel were representatives from the humanities, from social science, from hard science, and some of us are looking at it as some kind of shortcut for some of the drudgery. It was quite interesting to have students saying, no, we want it to be difficult. We know that essay writing is difficult, but we need to go through that struggle. We don't want to give that up. The philosophers in the room were saying that it's not about whether the robots will become human, it's whether the humans will become robots. So this would help. It would help me in the humanities to sort of navigate through the questions that we're faced with. So thank you.
Absolutely. Delighted to help with that if we can. I think Jan also raised her hand.
Yeah, I'd like Jan to go. Yes, Jan, please.
Yes, I just wanted to add to Marcus's presentation that this method, which I am now going through for the second time, we did one last year with Peaceful Futures, not only offers us an opportunity to burst out of the bubble, the disciplinary bubble, the cultural bubble that we're working in, but if we start to apply it globally, we can break through into all the different cultures of the world. So it's transdisciplinary, intercultural at the same time. And I think that for those of us who have been working, as I have for 50 years, with the poor and thinking about the 2/3 of the people in this world who are trying to live on $2 a day, and how all of this is going to impact on them, we need to broaden our vision. And I see this method as being absolutely critical to getting into the UN and the court, the transnational court system. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Let's do one more before Riza. Then Riza, you can help us transition into the engineering talk. Ronaldo, please.
Yeah, I think this is a good process for a lot of the indigenous communities, which already have that consensus building culture. And so I think that I can test drive it in some of the indigenous communities here in California to develop the use cases.
Yeah, excellent. Could I just comment on what Ruth mentioned before? Ruth, we found that the structured democratic dialogue works very, very well with young people, much more so than adults, because adults come into the room with preconceived ideas, and they find it much more difficult to give them up. Whereas young people are actually looking for new ways of thinking. And we did a structured democratic dialogue a year and a half ago with the Open Society University Foundation, where we had students who were actually living in refugee camps discussing how to deal with inequalities on the ocean campuses. And the kind of comments they came up with was, this is the first time we've ever managed to talk in a room with academics and ourselves at the same level. Every time we've been the students and okay, we'll listen to you, but really we'll decide. So I mean, it's absolutely amazing for that.
Wonderful. Riza, you want to wrap us up in this topic?
Sure, quickly. So Marcus and Jan, thanks so much.
Thank you.
I've used similar techniques, but I'm interested, you mentioned that under the hood, there's a mathematical algorithm that helps you. I'd love to learn more. I hope it's not proprietary.
No, we can send you material.
And sort of out of band, maybe you can share with us what that is. I'm a fan of this guy, Ed De Bono. Passed away now. He was a classic sort of philosopher, but also sort of a practical. He'd be the sort of Malcolm Gladwell of that time, and he coined the phrase lateral thinking. He has brainstorming, or he had the brainstorming methodology, the 6 hats methodology. It's worth looking at that because I've been in search of what is the underlying algorithm. Now you've got the brainstorming, everyone's voted, and I would use Post-it notes. Everyone would have a separate deck of Post-it notes with different colors, and they'd walk up to the whiteboard and they'd put their idea up, and then we'd cluster them, and then
design thinking.
Exactly, design thinking. But then the next step, the mathematical algorithm for sorting and prioritizing, is the bit that's missing. So the 6 thinking hats methodology I used with great success last year. But if you've got something else, I'm itching to hear about that. So great. Let's.
This is relevant to our engineering discussion as well. A lot of our Wednesday we kept asking ourselves, well, how are we going to make a decision? How are we going to make a decision? So why don't we keep this? There's 2 more hands up. Why don't we keep this conversation going just a little further? Ronaldo, go ahead, please. If that was a new one, go ahead, Kai.
I was just thinking, the 6 hats is very interesting. So maybe we can have a group to try to merge the 2 approach, right? Because the 6 hat kind of facilitate the conversation, and SDD is about to structure and produce result. So I think if combining the 2 can be an interesting.
Because the 6 hats formally forces you to put on the hat of the pessimist or the hat of the optimist, rather than everyone going into their comfort zone of being the sort of the curmudgeon in the or the exuberant enthusiast or the optimist, and it allows you to see from the question from 6 different viewpoints, and you're forced to put on that hat and then vote with respect to that hat, and it will give you your critique of the idea. So anyway, this is a fantastic. I'm so grateful, Kai, that you've introduced us to Marcus and to Jan, and Matt. Why don't we move the agenda on? What's our next agenda item.
Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, Jan. Simon, you're next. What we'd love is just a brief update kind of on where we're at in the process. We did cover the new meetings that are on the schedule, but just giving us a summary of a high level summary, excuse me.
Sure. Very good. Okay.
Of the overview.
So AI, now it's personal. I think that's the message where that Kwaai is sending. It's about personal AI and how to keep it personal. But to give this a practical example, there was an upsurge in AI that actually occurred maybe 15 years ago when, no, maybe 10 years ago, Netflix put out a competition. They said, we would like a better algorithm for content recommendations to power. And they set up, I think it was a $1 million prize. And there were lots of contributions. And I think the winning contribution used a methodology called random forest, and that was the AI du jour of that time. This predates deep neural networks, and it won, and that powered Netflix's content recommendation engine for a few years after that. So what happens is your personal preferences about your likes and dislikes is now inside Netflix's platform. So, okay, you now, Hulu comes onto the market, and Hulu now has got the chore of wanting to learn what your preferences are, because they also want a content recommendation engine. And you'd think to yourself, hold on, I've just spent a year, 2 years getting Netflix to know what my likes and dislikes are. Isn't there a way of transferring one to the other? Well, no, there isn't, because your likes, the personalization of AI, your preferences are siloed in a proprietary repository. Our vision at Kwaai is that one day there will be a pod that you own that has the embodiment of that data, but not just for entertainment. It might be for your communications. It might be for your financial preferences. It might be for your healthcare. That pod is your personalization of AI. It's not in itself a large language model. We're not in the business of creating a new GPT or a llama, but we'll use those models. It is the cross-coupling of that private personal data that is the representation, the vector embeddings, the semantic representation of your personality, of your likes, your dislikes, your preferences, your habits, your behaviors. It's all encapsulated in this thing called the pod. Okay. So that emerged out of lots of discussions that we had in the working groups.
Riza, I had a proposal on a visualization for that, and I wonder if there's a good opportunity.
Please put that up. I like that proposal, and I was looking.
Yeah, one analogy I was playing with is kind of Pi as that, universal remote, as that executive assistant, where locally the Pi is kind of holding on to that personal context, that personal data that trains that model. And then through that, you can then go and, let's say, send your personalization preferences to any number of services. Ideally, perhaps Pi can help pick the best fit services to accomplish your task.
Kara, there was another diagram that I liked. Somebody put up.
Yeah, but I was kind of thinking about this general analogy of kind of this universal remote. It's local. Ideally trained on your computer, on your phone, to interface with those other services.
Can you show the diagram that you posted in the?
Yeah, and there was this one as well, which is kind of the different components of Pi. So really at the center, that Pi pod, the persona, objects, and data. And this is really just, dall-e helped me beautify some of Mike's thoughts from the summit here.
There we go.
On some of the other the major components here that we've been thinking about breaking into work groups are kind of the Pi OS, the conversational operating system, essentially the chat GPT layer. How are you going to interact with your Pi? the apps such as the communications assistant for Gmail, for email. Actually, one of the decisions that was made on Wednesday was let's do IMAP instead of Gmail for the communications assistant. And then kind of the training grounds for that model. How are we going to continuously retrain as new data comes in so that personal context can be updated? The network, a lot of the work that Colin had started with Twin Tech Hub. How do these things communicate? And can they coordinate on your behalf in individually or in groups? And then the I/O, the input output to the APIs and other AI services that the Pi is talking to. So in this way, kind of this is the universal remote, you know, speaking to those external services out here.
This diagram, I think, illuminates the ideas. Well, it's illuminated, but it also helps us talk about it in a less hand wavy way. So I think this is an important step forward. So the conversations we've been having and in the working groups is about this high level view of what personal AI is about. But we also started talking about and started the product management discussions on what is the first product. And so the first product is going to be a communications assistant. We've started work on that. It's going to be the thing that if you go to the Kwaai.ai website, it's the thing I'm talking about in that opening video. Now that video is getting a bit old now. We probably need to replace it with something else. But let's wait until we've got a new compelling message that reports progress forward. That would be great. So my hope is that by, let's say, the end of Q1, we'll have an initial product that we'd want to be able to at least demo, and that would be a communications assistant based on this architecture. And yeah,
Ion, maybe just to round us out here on this topic, before we kick it over to questions, we're running a bit short on time. Sion, maybe you can throw up your diagram just on the progress of that communications assistant and how we're layering out the steps associated.
Yes, for sure. But I think you guys have to give him permission to share the screen.
Yeah. On top of that, dang it. Where are you? There you are. Sorry about that. Logistically, I did add several folks as co-hosts on the back end for several of those meetings. So if I'm not on any one of those, please do remember to hit the record button.
Cool. Okay.
Can you do that on the hack thing? Because I wasn't able to invite people.
Yeah. Toby, I got you on there as a co-host.
Thank you.
Right. And you can remove the toolbars and then people can see more of it, Sion. There we go. And that's it, yes.
All right. So basically, this is a communication service MVP. All the milestones are proposed for these MVP are start working on training our AI with our, well, currently it says Gmail, but it won't be Gmail. But start filling it up with our email, whatever we are using. So we can create a representation of our data, and we have something in pod that is already trained with our inbox. The second milestone will be filtering emails, so we can use a similar approach as ChatGPT, just sending a few questions and expecting to get some very cool responses and accurate responses from our email. Started working on detecting whether a conversation starts and another conversation ends, so we can start filtering by that. Then start working on training and enhancements, so we can add more data to our collection of data in our model. And these three steps are the first and most important, I think. Please correct me if I am wrong. After that, we can go ahead.
No, it's good. Carry on.
Okay. From that on, we can jump into creating the contact personas and identifying the tone per channel and all the good stuff that we need to start refining our training model. So basically from these two steps, we can work asynchronously on those and then start working on the response recommendation, because we're going to be having a lot of contact personas already, a lot of knowledge from our inbox, the tones and the channels and what tone is the channel. And we can start working on adding responses, recommendations, where users are going to be able to give some feedback, whether it is a good recommendation for the specific conversation or if it is not. And at the end, we can start using creating a user interface and start working on integrating all the backend APIs that we work with to this UI so users can easily use this product. So basically, this is the proposal for the MVP of the communications assistant. I don't know if you have any questions.
Yeah, awesome, Cyan. Thank you. Let's off on questions here. Sorry, Sean. Sorry, Kai. I do want to give folks an opportunity to introduce themselves. We're running a bit short on time today. If there's anybody here, let's switch over here now to member voices. If there's anybody here that has not spoken before, shared before, introduced themselves before, especially, please do. It would be wonderful to hear from you. And then additionally, after that, we'll open this up for the audience here. Let's start with Amit. Go ahead, Amit.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure to be here, guys. Shout out to Toby Morning for shooting over the invite to all Rely Capital members. By way of introduction, my name is Amit Nath. I'm a co-founder of a tech startup. It's a future of work startup as well. What we do is we partner with job boards through APIs and integrate with them to offer AI resume reviews to all of the incoming users that are registering to the job board. It's a white label solution. One of our recent partners is WellFound. So if you go to wellfound.com right now and you sign up as a job seeker and you upload your resume, you'll get a complimentary resume review. That's in WellFound's brand, but it's my company running it on the back end. We recently just did an acquisition called Job Search Genius, where we're able to now target workforce development centers, boot camps, universities, and empower the career coaches and teachers with a suite of AI career mobility tools, like creating cover letters, interview prep questions, as well as resumes from scratch. And we're really taking over the market. So any introductions to job boards, talent marketplaces, workforce development, one-stop centers, or any of the above. And also we're raising a $3 million seed round come Q1 of this year.
Thank you, Amit. Welcome and good luck to you there. MF.
Got a couple of teachers on the call, Amit, that may be interested in that. So I'll let them reach out directly.
Awesome. My name is Melinda Thielbar. I'm a vice president of data science at Fidelity Investments. I actually heard about this through DataCon Los Angeles, and I've had a few projects I've been finishing up, so I've been really intermittent on my attendance, but I'm glad to be here now. Project's all done, so looking forward to being more active.
Welcome. Great. If no more folks for introductions, Sean, you're up. Sean?
Sorry, I had some tech questions on the presentation. That was just it.
Yeah, go for it. Yep.
So I'm happy to wait till the end on that.
No, go for it. Doesn't look like we have any more folks wanting to introduce, so go ahead.
Yeah, I guess the first one was just doing Gmail seems limited. I wonder if there's like more, other sources like my SMS history, WhatsApp, right? I don't want this thing to just be seen as an add-on for Google products in the end. I'm sure that was the one piece. And then the second question was, what's the actual tech output? Like, do we expect like a big vector DB embedding that you could use across Llama? I'd love the sort of next level of detail of what do we actually think we're building?
Yeah. So on your first question, can I just jump in there and answer that? Yes. We modified it from Gmail to be IMAP, but the broader thing is to make it an omni-channel communications assistant. typically, you get inbound communication via LinkedIn, and then you give them your email address, and then it follows from there. There may also be SMS communication. So the notion is that the communication janitor would be an omni-channel communications assistant fielding your inbound traffic, automatically responding if there's simple things like please unsubscribe me from this newsletter, or surfacing up a draft of a response. Your question was, what is it? I don't think it's just a plug-in to Google. That would probably not be a good implementation of it. I don't know what the product looks like yet. We were talking about what the user interface would be. Is it an audio interface? Is it something that speaks to you? Maybe that's it. But the intermediate representation is a vector database. Yes.
Great. And another comment there by Ian as well in the chat. Colin, we haven't heard from you yet.
Oh, yeah. I was going to bring up something that's a little bit not off topic, but so I wanted to bring up the idea of security for something like this, because if we're centralizing something in one position, like the people don't need to hack into different accounts and services like Google, and like they just need to hack this one pod and they have literally everything on you. So it's probably a good idea to start like pen testing and maybe even like getting some security professionals in on it and not letting us know who they are, so that we can like actually start to protect people's data, because that's going to be literally one of the biggest concerns of people who are possibly investing in this.
You're absolutely right there, and you might recall, and you should watch the video of the meeting if you weren't there. But security was a key foundational question. There was one notion. Okay, well, first of all, why don't we just build it and then secure it afterwards? And no, there was a considerable sentiment that said no, security has to be built from the bottom up, which is I think the correct approach.
Yeah, and I might know someone who actually has the ability to do some pen testing, so I might reach out and see if they're interested in coming in.
Great.
Hey, Jim, you had reached out last week, talking about deputy CISO type of role. Any thoughts here?
Hello, and happy to talk about that. Yeah, that's an area I'll help lead a work group. So
wonderful. Kai, go ahead.
Yeah, quickly. As you know, I'm a fan of distributed systems, since I work on distributed reasoning. And what Colin said, I think it's important to have a distributed security strategy and not a centralized one. What I mean by that is how we can do that in a distributed way for each individual rather to have one. The second thing is rapidly. Great. It's as Reza say. I mean, the visual help us to see things well. One thing I would add with the Cyan presentation is maybe not only kind of filtering after the whole training, but filtering before the training as well, because it depends, as you know, what data you get. If it's not a good data, then you will have a bad result. So I would add a phase of training to qualify the data.
Thank you, Kai. Any final thoughts, comments today? We're running close to the top of the hour.
Okay, maybe I can talk us out.
Sounds good, Reza.
Great. Well, look, we're coming towards the end of the year, and we need to start thinking about, are we going to have which meetings are going to drop around the holiday period? There was a proposal that the one that is the Friday after Thanksgiving, that we don't have a meeting then. I'm open to suggestions. We don't need to make a decision right now. I'm looking forward to the meeting that we're going to have in December, December the 29th, because I will be in Cape Town then with the rest of my family, and I'm definitely going to call in. if you're going to have a Kwaai day, you need to have it from Cape Town, and that's because Kwaai comes from the parlance
Yeah, baby.
of that part of the world. So maybe from the top of Table Mountain, I'll be dialing in.
Riza, on that note, suggested too, we've got Thanksgiving coming up. Are we going to cancel the 24th?
That's what I'm suggesting. Let's cancel the 24th. Let's keep the next one, which is the 17th. Let's skip the 24th, but we should keep all the remaining meetings. As we come to the end of the year, look, I'm going to suggest we have a membership drive. And that's really not a big onus on everyone, but everyone that's already a member, simply post in your LinkedIn profile, you add the position that you have. Either I'm a Kwaai advisor, I'm a Kwaai volunteer, I'm a Kwaai observer. That's all you have to do. Once you do that, that message goes out to your whole organization. Now, in the message, you will have put in there, come and join Kwaai, Kwaai.ai, put the link in there, and that feeds traffic from LinkedIn. It's a big boost. We were anticipating that by the end of the first quarter, we'd only have 25 members. We've now got over 100 members. Hey, let's see if we can grow that. I think we need to maybe double membership and get more people. Now that we've started the work streams and we're looking for development volunteers, I think we need to
turn it up, baby. Turn it up.
Turn it up. Let's do it. Okay. So this is, the highlight of my week, as I keep saying. Happy Kwaai Day for everybody. Hope you have a fantastic weekend, and look forward to seeing you next week, and also in the working sessions that are scheduled. Now, straight after this, is there a hacker meeting straight after this?
Of course there is.
Pop off if you're ready to put fingers to the keyboard. Jump in on the hackathon coming up next.
Okay.